said the date in the page helps them.
Huh?
You said the date in the page at the beginning of the share, so it helps.
Date in the place.
And the chapter.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. So tonight is Oil Kofches Elul. Hemshchaim Beis. Omud Tov. Test leading into Tov Tov in Chelik Aleph. Sof Hamaimer of Yosef Avari Motze. Sof Hamaimer. Bois Sukkos Eitachas Ha'ilot. And so we saw there were two Makifim Mitzad Mashpia. We saw there was a Makif of Oil Yosha and the Makif of Oil Choizer. So the Makif of Yosha was a Helem Mitzad Mashpia, but it was a Helem I have Shori Lavoli de Gilu. The Ilu the Makif of Choizer was Kishmoi Kainu. First of all, it was a Makif. Secondly, it was a Inyan van Oyer Choizer. It was Oyer Milmata Lamaila Beteich HaMashpia. So it's got both in Yone Helem, both Lavusha Helem. But first of all, it's a Makif, what a Makif is by definition a certain Helem. And it's a Helem Ha'oile Mistabeg B'teich HaMashpia. So therefore we saw that it's not a Sui Lehis Galis Le'elam Afilo Efes Koteyu. And we saw that was the union of what we find at the Kates is written in Daniel, the Sefer, that it's Chosum V'Sosum, that both of those words imply the union of locked off and hidden away, but both of them are Loshenas Pshuti B'Hetzleitium. What that implies, Sosum V'Chosum Loloi Efshariyas HaGiloi. So that's brought down in Sof Daniel, Dafki, when I get to the union of the Kates. So therefore the Rebbe said that the union of Kates is Nisto V'Nelam L'Gamri, She'ino Nitla Klau, V'Ader Abba Nira Chas V'Sholem Ha'efach Mizeh. That we see when we look into the world, we don't see the union of the Kates, even though Simonim may be there. The union of Kates, the Divrei Chazal, certain Simon were given. The Rebbe said that those Simonim were Miskaimim, Mamish Zmaneinu. After became the etzem union of the Kates, Yeshleima, that you don't see that that's only when it's Mamish going to be there. And therefore one of the Schwierigkeiten or difficulties that you find in talking with people about Gila HaMashiach, then they say, we're prepared to accept this, but when is it going to be? Matai. In other words, it's not something which is, well, they'll say, well, Adarabba, that's great, but let's get moving, or let's do something, or Bituyim Misug, V'Hachrozis Mishum Seh. But that leaves you in a somewhat difficult situation in the midst of all your hamlotzes for biurim v'keitzim to the Inyan. So it came out for me to think that gufa is part of the game. Because that's what the Rebbe says here, that the kates is the etzim Inyan gilui metzias hakates yatzmei is sosum v'nela magamre. It's not something which is even begeder gilui, and therefore Mashiach ben David ain't a boy ela behesach hadas. We touch it that hesach hadas is mitzad the ribui helomis v'esteidim. So we have to say, what does he mean by the word mitzad? Mitzad ribui helomis v'esteidim. The hesach hadas in Pashtus means the taking away of the mind. How would you call it, the withdrawing your attention or withdrawing the mind from the inyan, and that implies the concept of Hesed Chadas. Like we find there's certain halachas, they need a hemshech of your attention. If there's an interruption, it's called Hesed Chadas. In other words, a withdrawal of the attention of the mind. So the Rebbe is saying that why would that happen to people? If they've been promised that Mashiach ben David is coming, then there should always be an awareness and a koch in the Kates Hagiyul of Mashiach ben David. Elamai, the Rebbe Elomis Ve'esteirim, they cause a Hesed Chadas. In other words, what you see in Yonim, which come mitzad Helomis, the hiding and the concealing of Elikus B'klal, and particularly the expression of Elikus Alidei, a thing like the cakes. So that leads people, and therefore, why was it that B'meshech HaDoros there were certain Gedolei Yisrael that were very nizar, B'klal, to talk about the cakes? Because they were frightened that maybe it wouldn't be Mizkala B'yomehem, and it would cause people expectations, or that it would be difficult, to make people really appreciate that it's coming. Mitzad the Rebbe Elomis Ve'esteirim. What we find that Moshe Rabbeinu had as our problem when he came to Tchilas Geula, and it's written V'lo Yishamu al Moshe meaning that the etzem his Elomis Ve'esteirim, or they cause Ayin shel Hesed Chadas. So this is zicher that when the Rebbe wrote those words, he didn't mean to say that there's no, talk about Mashiach, or there's no Inyan of Mashiach is coming, take it from Yad. I feel of this manner. It was a mitzvah, kol yiregev, kol yoyim, tzapis v'lechachis, b'yas HaMashiach. So that was in the Rebbe, that those Elomis Ve'esteirim, but they lead to Hesed Chadas. And by what you might call the Hamoin Am, they lead to well, it would be great if it was, if it was going to happen, but, ad matai, what is going on, where is it? Why doesn't it happen? But that leads to Hesed Chadas, that the person feels more comfortable, he's able to be mustader im atzmei, if he sort of is, malim his das mizer. Well, that's even from Hesed Chadas. So the Rebbe said, Shahein, or those Elomis Ve'esteirim, Heim mitzad ha'Yisalmas. Or they come from the fact that in Be'etzem Shoel Shoy, in Elikus, Kates is Nistov and Neram Lagamet. This says that the Kates is Kolu, Begiluyei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in Azar Oifim, that it's not by definition Begolu. It's not meant to be Begolu, and it's not by definition Begolu. And therefore, when you look at the world, you just don't see the Kates Mamish, the Hanhogis So'ilam, Papashtis, Lafi Inyone, Kosher Lirois, it's in a Kate. The Rebbe says, well, that's Mitzad Yisalmus. And Yisalmus, he means Yisalmus, how it is in HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'atzmei, in the Etzem HaMashpia, in the Oivim of the Derech of a Makif, of a Choyzer, what Inyone is, it's Nisale. V'hainel, Isha Amit, Yisa Gilui, the Mashiach, Ushi is Galeb, Chinas Eiden Nilo Stimua, Shezeo Mashisosu Bi, Be'etzem. That was Mavur, as we brought down in the last class, but this is Mavur in some of our barichas, that Eiden Nilo Stimua is what he calls over there, the Etzem Tainuka, a poshut, or Kol B'atzmusei Mamish, that there's a level of Tainuk, which is Kol Mamish Bia Atzmus, and it's not B'klal B'gilui L'nivroim, Ve'ein Lahem Kol Yediyah or Push, B'mei Inyan HaTainik Uzeh, Ve'ek Zeh Yeh, Kasher Zeh Yishkala. That's Inyan from Eiden Stimua Ilah, because Eiden is Inyan from Tainuk.
You got me. The case itself is Nelan, so that's more. So there's isn't that a stira? Saying it's mitzvah.
No, we shouldn't come back to that. Ayin lost him. Oshazo mashu sosum be'etzem. Yeah, that's what's be'etzem. Yeah, it's sosum. Because that's a oifen of tainug, which is mudal, and it's not moving. Klal. Yeah, when I say not moving, it's not pachusha nivroim. Afilu in the highest Indian of nivroim haraya misanig v'tainugim mitzad elikus, for example, in Gan Eden or Gan Eden Alien v'chulu. But Eden Iloa, it means the etzem meaning of the tainug ha'atz l'mayla from ha'ores ha'tainug. No, it's the Indian from tainug ha'poshut. But b'chlau, tainug ha'poshut is a difficult musag, because the whole meaning of oineg is a thing that you feel. When you say tainug ha'poshut, then it means something which is mufshat, moved out from haragosha. Like he's mavaya over there, that the whole meaning of the etzem tainug ha'poshut is the aliyah b'toich atzmusa. The meaning ha'oineg is oile b'toich ha'etzem, and not mishkala to the mekablim. I mean, that's what's going to be the gilui of Keitz HaMashiach. And therefore he says, Lafisha misalim bi'atzmusa b'yoser al kein oid nira aifa. What oid can mean too in Yonah. The word oid can mean that's still what we're seeing, oid nira aifa. And oid can be lashon ha'yisofa. Not only it's nelam, but it's not only not noticeable mitzad Elohim's vestadim, but oid yoter mizeh, it's nira ha'aifa. And the Rebbe goes on to bring a much more comfortable example, I would suggest. When I say comfortable, I mean mitzad the mekablim. He brings a dogma from Mishlei Shloimei. Well, we said that the union from Mishlei Shloimei, Orei mitzad Chochmasei Anifloa, what it's by Shloimei was the union from Vatir beChochmas Shloimei Chochmas Kol B'nai Kedem. In other words, the union from Chochmas Shloimei was even more than all B'nai Kedem, all those, or in Yonim, but their madrega is Kadmain Shalom, Mamish in the union from Kedem. The Tirbe or Tarbe Chochmas Shloimei, and until we see that right at the very beginning of the whole union from Chochmas Shloimei, we see that he was Mavakesh, that there was the Eibishter appeared to him or sent him to a Novi, that he should be Mavakesh, Masha Yale al Retainev al Date, it's Kilo a moment, that he can get anything he'll ask for. And so it's written that he asked for Chochmah, Shloimeh given Chochmah, and so it's written, V'Hashem nosen Chochmah l'Shloimeh, the whole Haftarah, which begins in the Haftarah Pasha Truma, state V'Hashem nosen Chochmah l'Shloimeh. So we see that Shloimeh Melech's Chochmah was mitzada anasina milmayla. It was Ayin in Lagamri, moved off from Chochmas B'nai Kedem and Chochmas B'nai Adam v'chuli. And that was the Rebbe, the Mishlei Shloimeh Begolui. There's no inyan in that of the Amiti is Chochmas Shloimeh. In other words, that's not even a ha'ora me'amiti is Chochmas Shloimeh. This is, Remez, Bialma, like it's brought down in certain places, and that certain inyanim are so high and so moved out, etzem inyan Chochmasam, that the only way you can express them, the Gabi HaMakabel is Beis Derech and Remez. You can make a sign, Bialma, there's moving to an emes Maven. There is a shuinian omek meim ta'ena in Chochmah. But in the etzem gilu of that Indian name is erech ha-Chochmah exes a mitzad. It's only kilo a Beis Yad to somebody who's a maven. Allah has brought down as we state on the lesson that Loi Ramiza el Chachimin. We state Daile Chachimin Baramiza, Daile Chacham Baramiza. Some of these Palavach, emes chacham, and he can be mistapik with the inyan from Ramid. Mamere says the Rebbe that's the inyan of chachma, how the inyan the makif for El Choiza, that even though certain inyanim may be miskala, ein lehem erech klal, it can be a mitis ayin. And that's not an inyan that kilo miktas min adova is miskala. Miktas loy miskala, we saw that with Shaita Yoshua, but in the makif for El Choiza, legamri shum dova loy miskala. Mamela, we have to say that the inyan from Mishlei Shleimai, the Chachma, that we see it as a man at the Remes Bialma, or the Simon Bialma, aimed to say Gilui Klal of Chachma Shleimai. Remember, that's also a Peri Nifla, when we learn that whole Sefer from Mishlei Shleimai, it comes to us that we're not really learning anything. We're maybe only learning certain inyanim which can be, like he says over there, Lalamid Musa, Lalamid inyanim, what they're Gabi Amiti is Chok Mishleim, they're only a Simona Ba'alma, or they're not even a hero's Derech, or they're just a Dovatayv, they get to Nivzim, Ushvezim, what a Nimtzu, Bezeh Ho'ilam, believe Musid Bamit Yusin from Chokzu. We see then that the further marshal, Mishlei Shleima, is also a Tva Pillar. What does it do is come to us that the whole Sefer Mishlei is, it's like it's not an expression of Chachma Shleima. It's not an expression at all of Shleima HaMelech's Chachma. It's only just a Hayra and a Dovatayv, but again to Anoshim Be'erakenu, that they can maybe take out Ezeshu Musa with certain things that he said. Of Lo Zeh, that's not the Gilui of Amitius Chachma Shleima. In other words, we have to say that somebody who is benchmark, that's a Chachma, when it comes to Inyanim Teviv, Inyanim that you're Mishayitz with him, or Nochazach Inyanim, that he's got the Yechilas Be'atzmei to be Moira Derech, afilu in Inyan Pshutim. Avaloi mi HaHeroes Derech Hazeh is an Iraya Yeramitius Chochmasa. But that's or B'Tlalo. We just have to say that somebody who has Amin Geder of Chochma, but even Kazeh, then his Hoiros and his Inyanim, also Inyanim Shaloi Be'erech, Yesa Mo'ilim, V'yesa Tevim, V'yesa Nifloim, Misha B'nai Adam. That's what we have to say. And therefore, the whole Inyan, is with them it's Yesh Lema. We can understand why it is that we state that Sichas Chulin Shal Chachamim Shal Talmidei Chachamim Tzrichim Limud, because Sichas Chulin is Sichas Shaloi Be'erech Chachmat. Sichas Chulin, das ist ein Inyan, was ähnlich ist called Erech Lamitius Chachmat se Klau, therefore it's called the Sichas Chulin. And yet nonetheless Tzrichim Limud, and let's put down in the Chosin Maimon that even in Yonim what just says Kilu Kalachayad be in Yonim from Zeh Ho'ilam, they also Yeshim Behem Legabi Anoshim Merakeno Vipitadot Yeshlem Chachma Amukim Chachma Nifloa V'chulu aber ein Lezeh Erech Legabi Klau Legabi Amitis Chachma. So what we have to say is when I get to that, when I get to this whole inyan of what I said, when I get to the Kates. First of all, from this it appears, from here we see that Ayin Litztaya, Ayin Litmoya, Ayin Lispoil, Miser, that everything seems to be Sosum, Velebe, Begilui, if we'll just take the Indian of the case, Kamoishahu, Beli Sarvas, Cloud. You know, when I say Beli Sarvas, I'm soon going to say what I mean by that. What do I mean by the expression Beli Sarvas? If we take the Indian Kamoishahu, then when you look at the world, all you see is a heap from what is Mavua in the Sukkim. And in the Gemara, what's going to be when Mashiach comes? Heap of Gomer. And it's Mavil, the even a heap of Mashiach. That's what them follows that the etzem inyan of the case of Moshiach is Zah Oifen in Elakus that it can't possibly come begolui bederach harogio from how in yonim mishkala mishtaus umayla lama. That's kind of Zah. And in Lafisa, it would come out that those who didn't want to mix too much in the whole inyan of Moshiach, they had a good point. If those who didn't want to mix into the whole Inyan, the whole Gila of Moshiach, then they had a good point, because it's a Zazachus. It's impossible, to know exactly how to be Moira Derek, but the Helem is Mitzad Etzem definition, how it is Mitzad the Mashpir. So for them we see, for that one, I'm going to get to the Inyan from Chokmah Shlema. You can't know anything from that. Not that Chokmah Shlema Ha'el Ba'ester, but what we mean is from that Oifen HaChokmah, which is this is Azibi Asichas Chulim, Ulai Lagam Yamitis Chokmah Shlema. This is not, I feel maybe even more poshut than that. If I remember Loi Mizeh HaHoichocha V'Harai to meet his Chokmah Shlema. So I asked to Shaila, how is it that we can know certain things about Mashiach? Does that the whole Inyan does appear to be taking a tremendous momentum. What's it to be a bedor? So we have to say that Ein Lachanamid, mitzad what we would see, mitzad atzmi, mitzad what the men would see, mitzad atzmi, and I mentioned the nefesh elokis. What he would see with mitzad atzmi is oid nira heifer. He would see the gamri. If he looked into the world and he read all the psukim and all the Maimar Chazal and all the Rambams and everything about Mashiach, and he looked at the world, he would say, Kaval, what do you want of me? Worse, when? Evil. What is the key to the answer to all this? The answer to all this is that we have to say that there's certain nishamas and certain what you might call people, in inverted commas, what the Eibishter made, that their Inyan is that their mitzad goydel inyona, or mitzad goydel ma'aloso, or mitzad goydel hafloas, tafkido, then the Eibishter puts him in the world that they should be megale inyona alakus, which is stumi v'nelorim legamre, in a way that it can be possible yet to bring them down. And to bring them, well, I was going to say at the end of this whole loss, that they come in as even that they go with a tremendous toikev, B is the etzemina, the kates, kamoishahu, and oidvorim, astumim, vanelomim, mamish, betoich, etzem, atzmosei, that they're going to come, betoich, vinyonam, kamoishahin. And just like we see the sort of Moshe Rabbeinu, but Matan Torah Nochamo is not going to be, because of the goydel unbelievable pu'ula that there was a Yid, that his name was Moshe Rabbeinu, and in Yonehu was to bring down a Zolcha in Yonehu, what it's not going to ever be possible, Kavioho, mitzad the Seder, in Yonehu, that should ever be again. Even mitzad the Seder of in Yonehu, Nailim v'Mufloim. In other words, that Mamish Azam in Shinui in the world only came with an individual called Moshe Rabbeinu. And that Poel given him, he was the how they call it, the sinner through which it went the whole Inyan of the Amshach Torah into the world. And therefore the Torah is called Torah's Moshe. So we have to say the same thing when we get to Moshiach. That there are certain people, what Ayin Hanami, there were certain Gedolei Yisrael, that they were nimnoim. They didn't want to mix into the whole Inyan. Ki lo ze Inyana. Lo ze Inyana. They weren't in that whole Inyan. That their Inyan was to be like the Tzina of his scholars, but again, Inyan ze. Over, there will be, and there are certain people, was Inyana, is after to take that Helem, and that Helem, how it is, all b'teicha mashpia mitzad the Choiza, of the Choiza had kol b'teicha mashpia, and to bring it into Azam Oven, that will be the miskala into the world. That will also go in how they call it, in Shlavim, that at the beginning it'll be in an oven from Ribui Idud and Ribui Dibu Bezeh, and then afterwards it'll reach a point where Pesichas a naim, that there'll be a bakasha to open your eyes, and then there'll be even more than that, that the Etzeminim will be mamish misatim with the world, till it'll just be a point where it'll just have to come, and it'll burst all the boundaries, and it'll just be miskala mamish k'moshe. That's what we have to say. That what the Rebbe means here is that if we take the inyan k'moshe hu mitzadatzman, that's what it means. That's a samin sosum v'nelam she'ein k'moy. And so now we see the Goydel Pa'ula of the Rebbe. The Goydel Pa'ula of the Rebbe was Signone is to take something, mamish kolo be'asmas, and be moired it lamata pick to say we Moshe Rabbeinu brought down the inyan from Torah into the world. And the inyan of the Rebbe is to be megala the sod akates b'toich ha'olam, to bring it from that steamers v'helem, and bring it from oi nira ha'efach, and to bring it into the world. Of a kedei, that should be, there also has to be a certain shutvas, mitzad al-chaponim hochim b'chveisov, b'drachav, that they have to listen carefully to what he says, and again to opening the eyes and oidin yonim. If I remember, it goes with simonim, and how would you call simone dera, until it reaches a point where it's mamish, how do you call it, koifetz v'shoiva eskola gidorim. Now that's what we have to say, and the same thing, but again to mishla shleimai, that there will come a point where instead of being just hoiroas dera, even for almost sichas chulin, then there'll be a yerida, and that's what we see. That if you take certain inyonim in the Rebbe's Torah and you look carefully at them, then you see that they're preachers kol ha-drochim. And yesh lema, that's the inyan from Nevuah, or in Nevuah Gufa, a very special tzina, a very special madrega. But when you look into certain inyonim in the siches, then you see that they're like a pesichas delas. It's another oiven of avon of asol. It's not just a new yichud of pnimis hatera mit nigla hatera. It's legamri, a whole new way of understanding. In other words, a whole new way of being megalel l'kus through Torah. And that will be the function of Melech Moshiach. Be'atzmi, when it will be the shleim v'sagilui in all the inyanim of Torah. We'll see the inyan of Amitius, Makoiron, Amitius Shorshon. It'll all be miskala to the makabel and the inyan of the Amitius Chochma in Shleimah, in Mishlei Shleimah will be begola. I will be miskala sarei nigla klal Chochma shebazeh.
I still don't understand the steamer of the gates. It's mitzad the satum mitzad atzmo. So why does the Rebbe Shah have to give a reason mitzad the riboy kalamas v'starim?
No. That's what. No. He's saying, why is it when you look at the world, all you see is riboy kalamas v'starim? That's what he's saying. So why is it that such a thing al Torah, which is so immense, so essential in Yiddishkeit, why isn't it revealed in the world? Lama lo ro'im et zeh Lama lo ro'im et zeh why do you only see Helamas V'Stadium? The whole time, lots of things is getting worse. All these terrible Helamas V'Stadium. For example, here in Eretz Yisrael, what's happening? The whole giving away of all Eretz Yisrael. Every day after day, it just seems to be worse and worse and worse. In other words, you see, so Rabbi said, that's like that lamata, because lamaila, kach is it. You understand, lamaila, it's an azam minoiv, that it's nelam v'nishta b'toich hamashpia. Therefore, all you see lamata is a long story. What I'm trying to get across is, how do we ever break that situation? What I'm trying to be masbir, that there must be somebody that he's going to be like the mamutza hamachabit to the world. That whole Ayin is going to be nishpa. That's the Ayin of Melech HaMashiach biyat. Over here we see that there's an Ayin of Melech HaMashiach begins already the work. Ilu terem etzem shleimus shel Ayin. That's what I'm trying to be mad. The same thing will be with Ayin like Chochma Shleima. Just like when you see if the Rebbe teaches Ayin, which in other places it may look to be Adov Mustav and Elam, and you see it in the Asicha from the Rebbe, all of a sudden it makes unbelievable sense, and it seems to be Adov Kimat Mavua, almost in a Rebbe from how would you say? Why didn't I realize that myself? But there's no way you could have realized it. Absolutely no way. But why didn't I realize that myself? Why? Because the function of Melech HaMashiach is to make those inyonim which are stumim mitzad the Choizer, to make them begin to appear. So there's no reason to say that once they do begin to appear, that they'll be just, in a way that everybody will say, well, this is just too much for me, let's leave it for Melech HaMashiach. No, it'll become the property of everybody. That doesn't include that he's going to show how these inyonim are be'etzim, meant by the Eibishter to be made ultimately the, what you might call the prophet, the ganze Brit. And I find that's what I'm trying to sort of work across this whole, what looks to be like almost a Dovah Sosam also in itself. The Kiyul, Kayu, everything is just labor. You can't really know anything from Mishnah Shleima. Go, and that's it, fall weiter. Learn another few shuras in the Maimah, and maybe say, drink a glass kaveh and get home. My muchachim loima, adosu the time. Our Vishkalas had a nigla klala chokma v'zeh. It's strong lashon, very amazing lashon. Lo nigla klal. What does it taste like nigla klal? I mean, look at all the maforshim that they say all sorts of beautiful things about Mishnah Shleima, and tell you all sorts of good musarim and all sorts of good inyonim. What does it taste like nigla klal v'chokma v'zeh? Ela doesn't man it via a Beis yad. Okay, my koyach haseicha yuli ha'atzmi shekolu b'etzem hanefesh. שהוא בחינת סוסו מצד עצמי, שאין בחינת מוקר כלל. So like we saw earlier when we spoke about the early Yosha, the Makif of Yosha, Korev Elagil, we bought a rye from Koyches HaNefesh, and we bought a rye from the Koyach HaMaskil. So the Koyach HaMaskil is only what we call the Amshocha Lemes. He's Amshocha from the Nefesh, but he's Nelam. Sinyone is like a storehouse, Hiyuli, of Ribui Inyana, which can be misgala from him. But the Ayin from the Koyach HaYuli, from Moshe in the Etzem HaNefesh, how it's called Mamish in the Etzem, or nobody has any idea klal what this is, Afilo, even from HaYuli, which is Shai to Ribui Protim, which come out of it, albeit that he remains Lamayla Mihem. Or this is another type of HaYuli altogether, but that's Mitzad the Etzem. She'ena b'chinas mokir klal. So when we say she'ena b'chinas mokir klal, also we need to know what does that mean. Because if it weren't for that koyach ha'yuli, you wouldn't have your koyach ha'yuli. You wouldn't have from what to be nimshal. In other words, do we have to say these inyonim do have a certain yachas to what later becomes the koyachas of the nefesh? Otherwise, what are they doing over there? Just don't have them. Just make whatever you need. The Ayin, the Koyach HaMaskil, or the Koyach HaChesed, Asosum v'chuli, Asosum Kavanah Almanas L'Hiskalit. So once again, we have to say that the Pirush is, or that these inyonim do have. They're not a mokeh in the sense that a mokeh is a functioning zach. A mokeh is a zach, what it functions, and therefore it gives out its inyan. Whether that be, even from Havdalah, as they would the Koyach HaMasker, or would it be closer like we bought the other Koyach HaChofim, which is sort of closer to the Rakuda, like all the protein that come out of it. We have to say that there's certain inyonim what they're only like b'derech sibur rechoicha cloud. And if it weren't for that Indian, then you wouldn't have the Koyach HaMasker, you wouldn't have the Koyach HaGiluyim. But they are mutalim gamrei from to be a mokir le'inyan hagiloi. Just that if it hadn't been for them, then you wouldn't have got any inyan of Isgal's cloud. And that's how did it. For example, what we find, but again, it's brought down in Siddur, that there's certain inyanim what they're b'derech siba. What a siba is a davar muvdal. It's not necessarily a mokeh. But if it hadn't been for that, then it wouldn't the cloud have been shayach other inyan. The koyach ha'yuli ha'atzmi, he's not a mokeh, but he's the beginning of the inyan ha'ishalas. Maybe we could say that that's lamayla, like we talk about the yechoilas. And immediately you say that the Eibishter can do certain things, he can produce certain inyanim, then let's move on and consider that you're already talking about a lower level within the Havdalah of the Atzma. But when you say he can do certain inyanim, you don't mean that he's done them, and you don't mean that he's even doing them. Maybe he will never do them. I mean, there's just so many things that the Yecholos could be. So the reason why we say that that's mitzad the Atzmas, because the Atzmas is koil Allah, how do you call it? He's called Yochel. Of a very what you talk about, Yecholos of Inyan Mesuyam. Even though you haven't gone away mamish from the Atzmas, but you've already made it possible that Inyan Zeh could Beis Yishlav be misgal. Like when you say about yourself, he could be kach v'kach. But what you say, he could be kach v'kach, then you've given him a certain how they call it, stoop into the possibility that ulai mizeh v'ribui havdalah, not v'ribui yishtausas, that they could eventually come out in plenty v'play. But that's the inyan the koyches הכלולים בעצם הנפש, שהם סתומים מצד עצמו, מה שסוסם בעצם תמיד הוא חוזר אל העצמוס, בהלם אחר הלם. Now here we see, this is also a fascinating point, that something is the sosum b'etzem, something that has in itself this inyan, the steamers b'etzem, is Tomid Choizer El Ha'etzem. It always tends to go back into the Dveikus and into a state of being even less shayak to Eizeshu Isgalis Memenim. The Mashu Sosem B'etzem Tomid U Choizer El Ha'atzmus Behelem Achahelem. The Keshem Shebchinas HaGilui Tiv'oi Hu Lehispashit U Leired Lamata, שזה הכלל שכל מה שבו בגינס המשוחר הרי הוא עושה להסגלת. והיינו מפני שטבע הגילוי הוא לירד ולהספשט. כמו כן, בגינס ההלם טבעי הוא להסעלם יויסר בבגינס העצמה. והיינו מה שנעלם בעצם דווקא, לא ההלם של הגילוי. In other words, Tavki is something that is Nel and B'etzem, then it's Tiv, or it doesn't use the expression Teva like Abidat, he just says that it's always in a state of going back more into the Inyan Atzmas, and something which is already Shaya, Beis Inyan, Legilui, and Tiv'oi, the Teva is to be Yer or Mitzkala Yisa, and he said that when we say that cloud as something which is Kolam Mitzad the Etzem is always in a state of B'toicha etzem, then we mean Davke the amitis inyan of Nel and B'etzem, not something which is just a Hilem Shalagiloi. The Hilem Shalagiloi, that's koral in the cloud of eventually being able to be Yored U'Miskala. In other words, it's just like we're saying that the Giloi Tivoi Leired U'Miskalas, so is the Helim of the Gilui, also Inyone is later Vizgalas. It'll also eventually come down and be Mizgalim. Hainu Mashe Nelam Bietem Tivoi Lihisale. So we need to understand, why is it that something that's Korul Ad Kerikach, or something which is Sosum Venelam Ad Kerikach, the Zinyone is to go back into the Etem, either something which is Begolui, then it's Teva, it's Davki to be Yered Umiskale, and ultimately speaking, it's Osid Liiskalet. It must somehow or another come Begola. So let's read what he says in the brackets, and that will reveal a most amazing point which will help us maybe understand. Why must Kosit Moki Macher be Inyan Ruach HaAdam Ha'ile Ruach HaBahema HaYoretes? It's written in Koheles. Ki Ruach HaAdam Hu HaOile Hi Lamaila Ruach HaBahema Hi HaYoretes Lamata. This is a pasuk, that the spirit of the Adam is always in a state of Aliyah, and the spirit of Bahema is always in a state of Yerida Lamata. Here Yerida Lamata. So in Pashas that's touched always. There can be Dvarim Dei Taktoinim, even the Nefesh Bamis can be called the Ruach HaBahema, the Ruach HaAdam can be the Nefesh Elokis, sometimes the Moichin of the Nefesh Elokis. There are different biurim which are given on that Exodus, that the Ruach HaAdam is always Oila Lamaila, and the Ruach HaBahema is Yereda Slamata. In other words, the Bahema, Inyana is Lishmashech, always the Gabi Mata. And Adam, Inyana is Oila Lamaila. So it says the Rebbe, the Ruach HaBahema, the Bechinas Ruach HaBahema, Hainu Bechinas HaOyer V'Aziv HaMishpashet Min HaMa'atzilu El HaNer Tzoleh. שהוא בחינת ירידה, והוא עניין יויסר ממה שהאגו רצה לנוח, הפורה רצה להוניק ולהשפיע. In other words, you know the famous story that happened in the Tpot down in the Gemara Pesachim, when the Talmidim came to see Rabbi Akiva when he was in prison, and they said to him, Rabbi is Lamdeinu Torah. I think it was Rabbi Shimba Yehoy said to him. I'm not sure, but that was before he got himself into trouble. Rabbi Shimba Yehoy. Anyway, they came in to visit Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Akiva says that Adova Mesukinu, he can't teach him here because he's in big sakonas as it is. As if he were to teach him, he would be in a worse situation. So I think it was Rabbi Shimon said to him of Rebbe, is what was the expression over there? He used some expression about water, if when we're not in water, we chase, those who catch the fish chase them. When we're out of water, for sure they're going to chase it. We're out of water, we're going to die if we're fish. So even though it's a sakana, you still need to teach us Torah. So Rabbi Akiva said, האמן לי בני יסר ממה שהאגו רוצה לנוח, הפורה רוצה להוניק. In other words, מצדי, I want to teach you more than what you want that I should teach you. I stay taught in the Gemara. Very famous piece in the Gemara Masechet Pesachim. Mamira says the Rebbe, מצד העניין von dem משפיע, מצד פורה, is רוצה להוניק more than what the etem egel itself wants to be yoin. So what's it got to do with the whole thing? What's it this, Kilo, what's the connection here? What's it the Dova HaMechaber? So Yesh Lema, what the Rebbe means is like this. That wherever Inyonim, what their Inyan is to be Mukusha and Klulim, no matter what that moya is, what that moya means must be, what it means that Dvarim Akuli B'toicha Etzem, and therefore they're Kluli B'toicha Moya V'chuli V'chuli, is the immediate Inyan of Inyanim which are Niskala Min HaMoya or me, Dovashi in Yoni, Doimala Moya, is certainly Aliyah Dveiches in the Moya. For example, like the Alter brings in over there in Shara Eichel Ramon, in Peragimo, it says that if the oil, which is Meya, Betoicha Eilam, is Dov Ba'etzim, Allah has come, Kolo, he brings a Kal V'chayma. He says that the Kolo B'etzim, Allah has come. So I thought the Shah wasn't the Kal V'chayma. Meaning, the closer you are, the more you call in the etzem, the more you mean the etzem, only the etzem. And your whole meaning is a lier with dweikers in the etzem bilvad. And that's the immediate Indian of anything which is nimshak. If it's a amshocha and it's a gilu etzem, then that should be what it wants. You know, say, how can it possibly be a thing which is yoyred? We can tell us what is yoyred. And therefore the Rebbe says something which wants to be yoyred, and there's even a rotzen wants to push it down and wants to have it. Be yoyred, das is a behema. That's the idiom from behema. And the amiti idiom from what I just said, that the Kal V'chayma would say, the closer you are into the etzem, the more you want to be in the etzem. Or das heißt auch darum, das ist die amiti idiom. En other the emse inne van Aleph Dam, the meet is inne van Adam hele Elyon, Adam hele Elyon says, that's where I go. I'm part of him. I'm him anyway. I belong to him. What's up, so up? Why should I want to go there? And the meet is inne van oil. The emse inne. Anders come oil how it is. A Kal V'chayma wants to be with the etzem. Right there, a kol inyan is hergisho etzem but veiket b'teicha etzem. That's what oil is. We couldn't the earth should go down. We couldn't the earth should be an oil, and I'm shocked. There's some sort of behemish inyan is working. The earth should go down. Into a gilui. Das is heper the amitis inyan van Adam. It could be that Eina Chanami is b'zeh kavana. And so it's a dover meshubach, and ultimately that's what the Eibishter wants in all these Shariat. So kavana, or in the etzem you read it, this is kilo al dervi bahim. And therefore, somebody once said to the Rebbe, I heard there was somebody once said to the Rebbe Hashab, there was exactly how it was Mesoyer and Eini Zeicha, and somebody said to the Rebbe about Ashpah. And so the Rebbe said, no, I'm Ashpah. I said, no. He wasn't koyfet Tzalainen. So somebody said, Yesem Imasha Ayin Rotzelino Hapora Rotzel Lohonik. So the Rebbe said, Oy Ves Viltzachim Istache Hapora. He said, if he really wants to give Ashpah, is a better something. I said, we got to. I can't remember. I heard it from the Rebbe. Mishu mi Agedelim she'afshar lismoch aleim. My view Hadover is that where is a inyan from your reader may oil upon of his borat. What does the Alter say in Perek Lamavot? Yeah, Hoyel v'lahem your reader may oil upon of it. He's talking about Itzila. He's talking about Itzila. Itzila is a mamish kilei lakus of a bala. This is a inyan from oil is for kelim and it's come down. Yeah, and it's pegoloi. Hoyel v'lahem your reader may oil upon of it. Neither does is a meat. Is a unit for what really should be. Really should be if you're a gilif, and there must be. You should want to go back to your minds. I mean, that's what he's in here. The whole union of oiro is having a mocker, but they're pushing them down. Doesn't we get a behemoth? And this does is the immediate unit for not. And what the Rebbe said, the emrasa union, but real gilui, mimenu is both. They all want to go back into it. In other words, where they're behemoth. Yeah, Lamita, the whole Indian is mamish feeling him and being a carrier of his message, then they don't want to go anywhere. They want to be on with him. There's even Kabbalah sales to go down and they do so much. Always the two sides to any coin. But if we look at it purely with the Indian and the Moya, with the Oya, I'll say something. If I remember one time, a kid here, forgive me. I've got a meter I'm more if you might like. That's also the Indian from Russia. Rosh Hashanah is you have to leave behind all the inyan. You have to leave behind all the inyan, Mayored and Miskala and all these. Rosh Hashanah, you want to go back to him. You want to go back into him. You want to be cold in him, and you don't want anything to do with anything. So then you say to him, here I am. Where's your tukman now? So if you do that, then that's epis a particular tikva. How do you call it? It's a little bit of a hope.
What?
That it'll be a good year. Then you say to the Eivishter, what do we do now? In other words, now that we're up here, in other words, if we say, let's do it your way, Eivishter, where's your Vidas Ayin, or in other words, not we say, look at all my peklach and parashas, Eivishter, I got all these inyonim, where are you, You have to be so cold in the etzim that you don't want anything to do with the whole shit. So he's going to say to you, Toik Nisaina. He's going to say, listen guys, we've got to go down there and make it say, we have to go down. He says that to you. So I said, good. How do we do it? You show us how we do it. Don't you should say that I'm really happy here the way I am. I'm really very happy. Well, then you say to Kapwana, if you want to go down, you want to be Megala, I'll tell you, that's the Muslim sitting in our work. I heard it either from Rahman, the year from the Rebbe. He said, Beis Frutzachim. You have to realize that you can see the most unbelievable, incredible task that the Rebbe is taking on himself. The Rebbe is taking on himself that he's going to bring the Elam Atzmi into the world. It's going to be discovered. Only something like that. Otherwise, we're just going to say it from the other almost first turning. It's better to let him just like talk rather than not think. Don't talk too much about this. Do a good Be a good Jew.